Peace and love, y'all. It's your girl, the Vibe Priestess, tapping back in with y'all with more messages from Spirit. You already know what time it is. A little tarot wisdom with the Vibe Priestess. And you already know we got to clear the space, clear this energy. So to the Most High, the creator of all, God, Spirit, universe, angels, ancestors, spirit guides, and divine white light, thank you so much for clearing this space and clearing this energy and providing us with divine wisdom. Thank you for repelling any low vibrational demon, deity, entity, evil, hexes, voodoo, black magic, or curses. And so more to be, Ashe. So what it do, y'all? First of all, I just wanted to share these vibes with y'all because it is such a vibe out here, okay? The vibes, when I tell you the sunshine, the beautiful breeze, the palm trees, baby, it is everything. So if y'all somewhere cold, y'all somewhere where it's gloomy, gloom and doom, baby, I'm just here to share the vibes with you, raise the frequency and the vibration for y'all. And we're just going to see what Spirit has for us today just to empower. You know, we just bringing in a little empowerment. Hey, Beyond Often, thank you so much for joining the live, love. We still tapping in, waiting for a few more people to join the live. But, of course, I wanted to go ahead and start putting the message out there. And look at this. Look at the polarity of the devil and the lovers, okay? This is so crazy. Yes, the weather the same. I'm in CS. Oh, okay, you in Cali, yeah, so you getting them Cali vibes. I love it. Well, welcome, baby. Thank you so much for joining the live. Okay, and look at the synchronicity in that. We listening to that. We listen to that Nipsey right now, okay? So you already know we got the Cali vibes on deck, okay? But look, this is so crazy that this will come out because this is like the polarity, right? This is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing that there's this balance that's coming in, right? You have chose like this self-love aspect over bad habits, over things that bind us to things that keep us stagnant, okay? I've been seeing that you've been giving yourself self-love, okay? And you've decided that the things, the old things that have held us to attachments, stuff like that has been keeping you, the things that have kept you bound, no longer focus on it. And that's what life is about, that feminine and masculine energy, that healthy balance between the light and dark, right? Being able, because we need our darkness sometimes, don't get me wrong, right? If people are trying to challenge us, if it's between like life and death and we got to protect ourselves, we got to let that demon out sometimes on the motherfucker, because at the end of the day, we got to protect ourselves. But the reality is we want to lead with love. We want to lead with a higher perspective, right? So for this to come out, this is all about that balance. And I'm seeing that this energy, if you're not in this energy, then it's calling for you to find that balance, for you to find that healing, for you to allow yourself to detach from things that are binding you to old ways, because the only way that we can evolve is if we're led by the truth, led by the light, led by the Most High, led by a higher perspective, not by the lower self, but the higher self. Peace and love, Checks Given. Thank you so much for joining the live. Yes, a peaceful path. Exactly. We have to strive for peace, baby, because when we strive for peace and we strive for elevation and ascension, baby, that's when God starts to bless us with the opportunities, and it starts to align us with our actual purpose, and life becomes a lot easier, right? But this also represents the challenges that we have to go through. Sometimes we have to go through the darkness to get to the lighter aspects of life and to have the lighter experiences, right? So this is a level of just having that balance, and this is all about consciousness as well, because our higher self is what is guided by love, right? But our lust and the lower desires that we have are led by the devil. So we have to be in this space where we are keeping this balance, where we ensure that we're having that healthy mediumship, where we recognize that, okay, when things start to feel like we are just having lustful desires and things that are not serving us, we know how to turn that off. We know how to say, you know what, I'm utilizing my higher self to guide me away from that, because that may take me in the direction that I'm not really trying to go. Okay, so with those two cards coming out, I'm seeing that, you know, that's exactly what we're doing. We're gaining this balance. It's that happy medium, right? And I'm seeing with the Knight of Pentacles, this is all about pursuit of the coin, pursuit of your goals, pursuit of, or staying in alignment with your moral compass, staying in alignment with your values and your integrity. Okay, or this could just be that you are on a journey in order to get to the money, get to the coin, get to the, or whatever it is, your career path. Okay. Hey, Bright Well Mantis, thank you so much for joining the live, love. Right. So this could very well be this pursuit, right? And the Knight of the Pentacles is like the slowest knight in the deck. So this is about slow and steady wins the race. This is about staying focused and determined despite of whatever obstacles, whatever things come into your path. You're so determined, so head fast that you continue to go and consistently move towards this journey with that balance, and it allows you to stay focused on the big picture, right? Because a lot of times we'll get distracted by our lower urges, right? We'll get distracted by these attachments and things like that, and we'll allow these things to get in the way of our journey of what our mission is. A lot of times the coin, when we are focused on our purpose, a lot of times God is wanting to bless us with things that allows us to align with our creativity, align with our purpose, and then we can like make money off of that when we try to figure out exactly what our purpose is. Because a lot of times we're just doing the mundane things, right? We're just clocking in to somebody else's clock, and we're not deciding like what is in alignment with what God has for me. Because a lot of times we can create wealth doing the things that God naturally embedded into us, but a lot of times we get led astray by deciding that we're going to go and focus on the matrix way of doing things, right? And so this is what this is like. When you see this merely humans here, and then you see Archangel Michael here guiding us. This is like this is the higher self that we're able to connect to, that allows us to kind of have this level of guidance and take us in a direction where we're becoming guided by our higher selves, and we're able to look into what is really for us, okay? Not what society has deemed to be what's for us, okay? We're going within to figure out what is for us, okay? Yeah, this is about answering that call, about your purpose, about what you're in alignment to do. So this is something that's really beautiful. Somebody in the collective is answering the call. Somebody in the collective has decided that, oh yeah, I know I'm on this pursuit of purpose. And sometimes, you know, when we're looking for our purpose, it can be a lifelong thing. It can take years and years and years for it to finally dawn on us, and for us to decipher like, oh man, this is my calling, right? It takes a lot of experience. It takes a lot of trial and tribulation sometimes for us to finally figure out that, oh, this is for me, right? Remember that movie, The Pursuit of Happiness, with Will Smith? And, you know, he just was so determined. He had to go through a lot. He was living, you know, with his son, homeless damn near, you know, but he kept steadfast, right? He put on that suit every day, and he showed up, and he made sure that he kept his eye on that prize despite of whatever trials and tribulations was blocking him. And then at the end of the movie, he got exactly what it is that he was working towards, right? Yeah, beyond often 100. Exactly. Once we keep our eye on the prize and we don't get discouraged by the roadblocks, because we're always going to get roadblocks. But it's like once we continue to keep pushing past the roadblocks, God starts to lay more clarity in the direction we should head. But that's where that faith of the mustard seed happens. That's where just when you having that faith is what guides you. Even, and when you have that faith, is you have it even when you can't see right clearly. The faith is like blind faith, right? That's what blind faith is about, right? And see, us utilizing, right, when we talk about this higher self that we have, right? This is all in alignment. Hey, Naati, welcome to the live, love. This is that guidance that I'm talking about, right? Being guided by the Most High, being guided by your higher self, right? And the stars is all about guidance as well, because you remember how the ancestors used to look to the stars to find their way through the darkness, right? So that's what the star is about. Like a lot of times we'll be going through this darkness, going through these challenges, and then we get discouraged and we don't keep pushing forward. We don't keep moving. We just, you know, we allow ourselves to say, you know what, that wasn't for me. Even though is for you. But a lot of times we have to just continue to push past and stay focused and keep ourselves in a level of like determination, right? Consistency, remain and keeping that discipline, allowing us to see. And the star is all about like confidence in knowing who you are. Like the star quality is all about, you know, if you're a star, you got that celebrity energy, right? You know who the fuck you are. You show up and you show out. So that's how you're supposed to apply yourself every day when it comes to your goals and your aspirations, when it comes to that inner drive that's guiding you. Like we said, be slow and steady wins the race. So you got to just keep it moving, keep it pushing forward, right? With that confidence, with knowing that even though when you're going to have certain blockages, that cannot stop you. You have to keep pushing, keep going, right? Because here goes another night. Now this night, it's like once you start off slow, and then you start that pace starts to pick up, right? And then you start to get fueled by it. You start to feel this emotional fulfillment. You start feeling this passion within. You start feeling this the emotional attachment to what it is that you're doing. So that alone starts to pick up the pace, right? Because now you start feeling like, when you start seeing the shift from feeling like, all right, I keep making it past these obstacles. It's a constant reminder that you are able to push past things and overcome them. And then you start to feel more passionate. You start to feel more moved, and you just keep it going until the pace just continues to pick up, right? But that's where not only the passion, but when you start to go within to really interpret to yourself, why am I doing this? There's something within me, deep within, that's driving me. Thank you, Auntie. The star is you too, baby. Benny Banks, thank you so much for joining the live, love. Yeah, so it's like once you continue to push past those obstacles, you become more passionate, more driven, more fueled by your emotional drive, and you continue to push forward. And that is what allows you to overcome the obstacles and the challenges. And that's what continues to pick up the pace and moving forward. And then these things start to unfold, right? You start getting these epiphanies. You start feeling like, wow, okay, things are starting to make more sense to you, right? Yeah. And you start to get into this place where you, like, because a lot of times we will grieve, right, situations where we feel like things didn't pan out the way that we wanted it to, right? But this is about blessings in disguise, right? This is about perspective shifts. This is about seeing the glass half full, not half glass empty. So when you start applying that mindset to everything that you're pursuing, everything that you're doing, you start to it's called transmutation, right? You become this alchemist where you shift your reality because you know how to change your perception to work for you, because mind over matter, right? We start to materialize our reality when we can shift the way that we think, and when we start to shift the outlook of things. We start to get in a space where we're like, nothing is an obstacle to you when you know that you can transmute and shift your perception, and you can make it work for you. Even the fucking downfalls and the things that seem like blockages, that's really still working in your favor, right? Sometimes if we move too fast, we get somewhere and we're not fully prepared because we hopped over an experience we were supposed to have to gain more wisdom to be able to handle whatever may be coming next. So sometimes we have to just trust that whatever the stagnancy is, it's meant to be there. It's supposed to be there for like when we look at life and we say, there's nothing meant for me that will miss me, and everything that slows me down is because it's an opportunity to gain more wisdom, to learn, right? Because the hermit is all about going within and having that self-reflection and being guided from the light within. So a lot of times, if we need to take some type of, if we need to slow down, or if we're feeling like we having some blockages, this is a time for us to always go within and gain that inner insight, for us to figure out, why did this blockage come? What is it that I need to do? What do I need to look at within myself that I can improve, that will help me overcome this challenge or this obstacle, right? So it's all about perception, how we look at things, and knowing that blockages do not exist. The only blockages that exist are the ones that we create for ourselves, right? Hey, Jameer Monet, welcome back to the live, love. Yeah, because the Hierophant is about your spiritual essence, your spiritual body, right? And the spiritual wisdom that you've attained through your experiences. So once we look at life and we realize everything is spiritual, right? So there's a spiritual lesson to be learned in everything that we do. Everything that we approach, we're supposed to be looking at it from a spiritual standpoint. And once we start doing that, we won't look at things as obstacles, blockages, or challenges. We'll look at things as a way for us to gain more spiritual understanding, more spiritual wisdom. We'll gain more, spiritual sovereignty, because we'll realize, you know what? There's nothing that can really block me. There's really nothing that can stop me. And so how am I gaining this spiritual power? Because I'm able to alchemize what this is by shifting my perception and thought on how I'm looking at this situation, right? And that's when we go within, that's when we have this spiritual transformation, right? The Hierophant is also about seeking spiritual guidance, right? So it could also be about when you have a blockage, right? You have a blockage. Maybe it's time for you to go seek some type of inspiration. Maybe it's time for you to go into meditation. Maybe it's time for you to say an affirmation. Maybe it's time for you to have a little prayer and ask God for guidance, right? Sometimes we have to stop to revise. Okay, what's the next step, right? Sometimes God wants us to take a break and get some spiritual insight and have us look at everything that we've been through up until this point, right? Sometimes it's a resting period, right? So this is sometimes when this pops up, it's about you seeking that spiritual guidance so you can have this wisdom and this insight, okay? So then you can gain more inspiration to help you push forward past whatever these things that may appear as obstacles, okay? And that's what this is about, right? Sometimes it's like we can start to gain lack mentality when we see things as a blockage. Taz 8317, welcome to the live, love. Sometimes when we, if we don't take a stop to go within, right? If we don't take a stop to do this insight, if we don't seek our spiritual advisors, or we don't go within, we don't meditate, we don't pray, right? When things are when we're in this space where we feel like we getting some kind of blockages and we're grieving and we're looking at it in the wrong way, right? This creates a lack mentality, right? This is when we start to perpetuate what is happening in front of us, and we're turning it into a negative narrative, right? We can always spin the narrative to work for us, right? But if we sit up there and we say, well, I don't have enough money. I want to do this, but I don't have enough money. I want to do this, but I don't have the resources, right? I want to do this, but I don't have the time, right? This is all self-perpetuated blockages that we create for ourselves, because there's always something you can do, right? Even if it's just, I'm going to write this down because I have this divine download, this idea that could be worth millions. You know what I'm saying? I could become successful off of this one idea. And even though I don't feel like I have all the elements or resources that I have right now, one thing that I can do is I can materialize this idea by just writing it down first, right? I can write it down and I can meditate on it, and I can look at all the things that I do have to work towards it. And as I move forward, God will open up the opportunities and the doorways to provide. God is always going to provide, but it's like you have to take the steps first, right, in the direction of what it is you're trying to accomplish. And as you move forward in that blind faith, God starts to lay out, right, a foundation for you. He starts to provide those things that you need and opportunities through people, places, and things in miraculous ways, right? So this is like when we release ourselves from a lack mentality, nothing is impossible for us, right? There's nothing that we cannot accomplish, okay? And this is what this is about, walking away from anything that keeps you like this conceptual mindset that is their mental blockages, right? So this is you walking away from the mental blockages, the lack mentality, right? And walking away from people who speak negatively and don't pour into you with their like empowerment and wisdom, right? When you're around people that feed into your negativity, or when you're around people that they can't see a positive aspect, every time you talk to them, they gonna give you the negative side of everything. That person that always want to give you the constructive criticism, right? And it's like, first of all, did anybody ask you for that? Nobody asked you. Like, a lot of times people want to offer some constructive criticism, and they're just trying to discourage you, right? So it's like, we have to be our biggest supporters, and we have to, like, they talk about delusion, but I don't like to say delulu, right? I don't like to say delusional, because it's not being delusional. It's just the way that the power of our mind. Like, you have to actualize it in your mind first before it's a reality. So once you have this belief in your mind and belief in your ability, then the things start to actualize in your physical reality, right? That, to me, that's not delusional. That's not delulu. That's just blind faith, and that's you knowing and having a belief system in yourself enough to know that I believe in it even before I can physically see it. I know that what I'm capable of, despite of whatever negativity, just because I see my vision, that don't have nothing to do with me. Because when God gives us downloads and he blesses us with divine ideas, it wasn't for them. It was for you. So that's why a lot of other people just can't see it, right? So that's when you have to recognize that you got to walk away from people, because a lot of times these people will have valid reasons not to believe in the mindset that you have. And so if you believe in them more than you believe in yourself, they will change your mind. Okay? So this is like, you can allow people to feel like they know what the fuck they talking about, and you can just let them have it. And then you gonna go and show and prove, right? That's how we inspire and empower people. Hey, Local 1402, thank you so much for joining the live. That's how we empower people, by showing them, by being an example, right? Not everybody is going to be able to believe in your values. Not everybody's going to be able to believe in your belief system, right? But when you go out and you do it and you take the steps and then you show and prove, then people are going to be like, oh my gosh, wow, they did it. You know what I'm saying? Now you can inspire people because you took the action instead of sitting around trying to wait on somebody's opinion of how you should do something or if you can do something. You got to stop listening to what people say and just take action and let your actions show and prove, right? That's what it is. A lot of times we always want to ask people, well, what do you think? But God didn't give that to them. God gave that download to you for you to accomplish. So, of course, they're not going to think what you think about it because it wasn't for them, right? So you have to recognize the importance of things that come to you is for you and is made for you to act upon it. So that way you can show other people that it's possible, right? Hey, Kill Cam Rasta, thank you so much for joining the live, love. Yeah, because this was a download that was for you. This download came from the Most High, and this was for you to speak your truth, right? And I realized that everybody has their own truth based on their purpose, based on their experience, right? So sometimes you have to be the example of what a certain truth is, right? And the only way that you can do that is you acting on what's dawned on you, right? What was given to you, right? Because you can be that example to others that, yeah, I know you didn't believe in it before, right? But I can show you better than I can tell you, okay? And this is all about having that balance. Like you got the Queen of Swords and the Queen of Cups. So this is all about, going within, being the things that you're passionate about, right? This is also about head over heart, or balancing the mind and the heart, right? Being driven and led by, like, sometimes we can get so caught up in the logic that we're not letting our heart, right, have a role to play in it. And the heart is what allows us to feel the intuition of what's for us and what's not for us. And sometimes we can get so logical that we talk ourselves out of something that our heart is telling it is actually for us. So this is about having that balance, feeling it out. You see what I'm saying? Hey, Josh Jackson Golf, thank you so much for joining the live, love. Yes. So not allowing, having that balance between the head and the heart, and not just getting so caught up in logic that you talk yourself out of something that is meant for you. Okay? Because this could be this could be like a conflict, right? Wands can be a lot about like communication, right? All these people that have something to say that go against, right, what you've been working on, the mindset that you have, the way that you communicate your truth or what your experience is. Hey, Brisa 888, thank you so much for joining the live, love. Yeah, these bees don't stop. They just always. You know what they say about the bees? That means you vibrating high when they come landing in the atmosphere, okay? But yes, so, a lot of times when we're working on ourselves and we are working on our goals and dreams that nobody else can see, right? This is what this represents. Constantly feeling like you gotta fight and combat people because they can't see your vision, right? So this is all about that conflict. Hey, OZ the Don, thank you so much for joining the live, love. So this could be about that conflict, feeling like you always, but it's like I said, you got to get to this point where you done explaining yourself. You done, like, I understand wanting people to join your bandwagon and support you and feel, but I've learned to keep my visions to myself, right? Because as soon as you put it out there, you either got these people who are going to steal your intellectual property. They gonna run and take off with it and do something with it. Cause that's happened to me on plenty of times where I'm sharing my ideas and then boom, somebody go run off with the shit. Somebody, now they copying me. Now they doing the shit that I was gonna do. Hey, Amber Braden 84. And when you're a leader, you're going to inspire others, right? You're going to be a trendsetter. So I never was somebody to get upset if I seen that somebody was copying what I was doing. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, if God gave you a download, you better jump on it, because people will see your ability. Exactly. Creativity vampires, big fact. Like, they'll see what you're doing, boom, and go jump on the bandwagon and then do it before you do it, right? You know what I'm saying? And then next thing you know, they got this like a whole destiny swap thing where when you finally do it, they try to make it seem like you copied off of them or something. You're like, bitch, I told you that fucking idea. You see what I'm saying? So that's what this is about. Like, when you get these downloads, when you get these visions, when you get things that are for you, let it be for you. Work through whatever you got to work through. Make it happen. And once you already taken the action, once it's already, brought to life, you know what I mean, then people can offer their opinions if they want to, or if they don't, that's cool. But regardless of what they said, you already done it. So it doesn't matter. It's not going to affect the outcome. You see what I'm saying? So you got to be careful, because it's a lot of people out here that lack the ability to create. So what they do is they just mimic the creators, right? So as a creator, you got to be so confident in your vision, because that same person will act like what you're trying to create is not attainable. Whole time they plotting on your idea, on your vision. Now and then they gonna try to make you feel like that ain't what you should do, and then boom, next thing you know, they fucking doing the shit. So you gotta pay attention to shit like that too. Yeah, you'll give a motherfucker idea and then they run off with it and leave you out in the cold. Like, it's like people that you think that you gonna collaborate with. Let's work together, right? You gotta make sure, right, you dealing with trustworthy people, because it'll be the same people that'll leave you out in the cold. Like, you was sitting up there thinking, oh, we're doing this together, right? This is we're building this together, right? And whole time they looking at it, they're utilizing your gifts, your creativity, your effort. They're utilizing all of that. But then once they get to a certain level, then boom, they gonna take off and act like you never was a part of that. You know what I'm saying? Now you then let them get off with your intellectual property. So you gotta be aware of that. And y'all, my bad, I don't have no way to charge my phone out here, so I'm gonna try to keep going, but I got like 6% left. But I just wanted to tap in a little bit, because I ain't been coming on live. I've been wanting to be more consistent, and I miss the interaction on live, and and also just getting the content up is really important to me. So I just was out here vibing too, and I wanted to share these great vibes with y'all as well. So, but I'm going to keep on going for a little bit. You know, I got about 6%, so I probably got at least another 10 minutes or so. But yeah, this is about transformation, y'all. So death is all about ascension. It's all about recognizing when we need to get into this space where it's time to evolve past, right? When we see that things are not working for us deciding that we're going to move different, right? That's right on, Auntie. On point, in alignment. That's what I'm talking about. It's like the death is all about transformation. So it's like when we have been being so vulnerable, being so open with people, and we start to see how that may not be working in our benefit, right? We got to start transforming the way that we just interact in the world, how we connect with people and stuff like that. Like I said, sometimes the whole isolation, right? Breaking away and just kind of doing your own thing to develop yourself in the way that you should. So that way you don't have any interference, right? A lot of times as creatives, a lot of times we're like empathic too. And we will inherit other people's feelings about what we're doing. We'll feel what they're feeling, even though that ain't how we really feel. But because we're empathic, we'll embody that, and we won't even realize that we're adopting somebody else's feelings about what we're doing or how they feel about us. And if you're a spiritual person and you don't realize the power of your empathy and your spiritual empathetic abilities, you will feel negatively about yourself, not realizing that that's not even you. That's somebody else's energy that you're taking on. So sometimes you got to go into this transformation phase. This is like the phoenix rising, right? You know what I'm saying? We just need to start operating like we know that we are the chosen ones. Big facts, right? Knowing like when we alignment to the higher power and we know that we're connected, like that's how we can walk in blind faith. And it's like we don't always have to be able to, everybody don't have to understand what we're doing because it ain't for them, right? So that's what this transformative energy is being about. It's about putting us in this space where we're like, okay, I don't give a damn what nobody think, right? I'm growing, I'm ascending, I'm becoming who I am. And not everybody is going to agree, because a lot of times when you're walking that chosen path, you are one of a kind. You're a rare breed. You're cut from a different cloth. So everybody that sees how you move and they looking at you like, this bitch weird. Why she do it like that? What he doing? Like, why he's weird. You see what I'm saying? And it's because they don't understand that we're being guided by a higher power. And when you think about the higher power is about miraculous things. So the way that things develop for us also, they be trying to figure out like, how in the hell did that happen? Right? But when you believe in a higher power, you understand that things happen miraculously when you're guided by the force, when you're guided by the Most High, right? So a lot of people fake believe in the Most High. They don't really believe in the Most High. So they don't believe in miracles. They believe in, like, you know, that they got to go do the mundane matrix way of moving through life. And if you're not moving like that, you know what I'm saying, they looking at you weird. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've had plenty of people question my moves and how I do things. You see what I'm saying? But it works for me because I'm guided by something deeper within me. A lot of people are guided from outside of themselves. They're always seeking validation outside of them, right? They're seeking validation from family. They're seeking validation from their friends. They're seeking validation from some so-called superior person to them, trying to look like or be like something that is not even really them. You see what I'm saying? But when you guided by the Most High, then that's a whole nother vibe, because then you move confidently despite of what other people thinking, because you know, if I'm in alignment with the Most High, I'm doing what He desires for me, what the Most High has for me. So forget what other people have in their opinions and things like that. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, see? This is how you become victorious over all of the challenges and the things in life that keep us blocked, right? Because we're trying to appease this one and appease that one. But you remain victorious over all of these things when you are allowing yourself to go through this transformative energy and seek a higher power, you know, a force that's greater than what anybody else around you is going to be able to understand. And this, like I said, I call this card the woman or the man of leisure, where you can actually be in isolation and enjoy and appreciate your solitude and not have to worry like about the energy of others. This is like going into solitude, meditation, being at peace with yourself, right? So when you find peace within yourself, when you find happiness in who you are, despite of what other people, their opinions, their projections, right? This is what brings you so much peace right here, because now you're not worried about the status quo. You're not worried about the judgments of others and what they think you should be doing. You know, like the stereotypes, right? Like if you make it past a certain age, people want to judge you to say, oh, like even when people say, oh, you can't have kids past this age, or like I don't place no limitations on myself. I feel like if it's in God's will, it can happen. But a lot of times we'll fit right into these stereotypes that say place whatever type of boundaries and limitations on us. And I feel like when you have the Most High in mind, nothing is bounding you. There's no limits to what you can attain. So that's why sometimes we have to put ourselves in this bubble where we're alone with just spirit. You know what I'm saying? And connecting in that way where we're not being influenced outside of us, because there's always going to be somebody that tries to reinforce the negativity and try to reinforce and block you from the visions that you have that are just for you, right? And this is, I'm going to end on this card because I want my phone to die on y'all. This right here is all about breaking generational curses. This is all about generational wealth. This is all about divine inheritance. And this is about you accomplishing the goals through solitude, through self-love, through recognizing your abilities to be able to co-create with the Most High. And so you allow him to bless you abundantly through, breaking generational curses, because you have moved differently. You was able to stop passing down the negative behaviors and bad habits of your family members and things like that down to your children and stuff like that. And then you're able to also utilize these gifts. Hey, Tracy Woodward 26, thank you so much for joining the live, love. Then you're able to take these gifts and these visions that the Most High has downloaded upon you and utilize that to your abundance, right? And guide you in a direction where it's in alignment with your purpose and your path. So then those blessings start coming in because you're in alignment, right? So that's what this is about. Staying in this place and knowing first of all, you're abundant in spirit first. And then once you know how abundant you are in spirit and you have that belief in your ability to create whatever it is you want, then that starts to transmute and alchemize in your real world, in your reality, and you start to see how easy things come to you because you are an alchemist, you are a magician, you are a God, you are a chosen one. When you have the connection to the Most High, that is what allows you to have the power and be able to utilize your gifts for the power of you. Hey, Demigod DK, thank you so much for joining the live, love. So that's the power that y'all have and that we have. And when we utilize our power and we utilize the gifts that we know that God has blessed us with, that is what allows us to accomplish what's in alignment with our purpose. Okay. So I love y'all. Thank y'all so much for joining the live. And I'm so happy that I was able to come on here and kind of share the little vibes with y'all. It's a beautiful day out here. Just to kind of show y'all the vibes. It is lit. Okay. It's a beautiful day. Sending y'all sunshine. I hope y'all hopefully it's warm and some sunshine where y'all at too. But I definitely wanted to share these vibes with y'all. And I'm sending y'all so much peace and love. And I'm going to catch you on the next live, okay? LOL, don't rub it in. I'm not trying to rub it in. I'm just trying to sprinkle the little vibes over there on y'all so y'all can feel a little, a little sunshine. I love you too. I got you. All right. See y'all on the next live. Peace and love. Mwah and mwah.